Hi everyone. So good evening, and today we have Gopika with us, and she is one of our alumni, and she recently got selected as a data scientist. So
Data
she's work
engineer.
data engineer. I'm so sorry. Okay. So yeah, she recently got selected as a data engineer, which is also a niche domain.
Okay.
And the thing that we want to focus here in this webinar is she would go through her journey in GUVI and in general as a data engineer or data scientist. Uh, One thing that most of our learners and most of you guys come up with a very uh, frequent question that we get is that I'm not from a technical background, and how am I supposed to become a data scientist, or how should I penetrate the data science domain in general, right? So for that we have Gopika. Gopika comes from civil engineering, and she was able to crack this domain. Not did she crack the domain, she was able to do very good. So, so she was one of our top performers also. She did very good, and we knew that she will be getting placed very soon, and she did eventually. So again, the platform will be given to you, Gopika. So just tell us about your journey. How did you do it? What are the things? What are the tips and tricks that helped you actually learn the data science concept, key data science concept, and how did you land a job in the company that you have? Okay,
Okay. All right. I'll try my best.
sure.
So, as I've said, no need to introduce again. I'll be taking through my journey of being a data engineer from civil engineering background. And firstly, thanks to GUVI as well as Almighty for helping me a lot. There was an immense help from the GUVI side. So that is it. So actually, my journey began. I was working as a civil engineer from 2018. I passed from Vimal Jyoti Engineering College as a civil engineer, and from then, since then, I've been working as a civil engineering consultant in my own father's consultancy. So it basically dealt with supervision, making plans, and everything. So I felt like something I lacked throughout the process. I was trying to change the domain, but I couldn't get a complete idea of where I have to change because civil itself is a core subject. And while researching a lot, I felt like the stream data based things are emerging through a lot of journals I have read about this data, but it is completely different from what I'm pursuing. So I asked a little some of my friends about that, but some of them were not supporting at all. But anyways, there was some kind of interest, but I didn't have any hands-on idea about this subject. So what happened is I researched a lot and landed researched a lot in which platform, which this platform will help me to move forward, and that's how I reached into GUVI. And the first and foremost step that I understood was to learn Python coding only, basic codings. So two things that I made sure, because all through my academical journeys, be it school or be it graduation, I was average student. I didn't have any great achievements or anything throughout past. So two things I made it sure that whatever I'm learning for this 6 months of course, I will do my best. Whatever be my best is, but I'll do my best. And secondly, I also to get a job, will I get a job? That kinds of question I will try to suppress as much as I can, and will focus on what I'm doing, what I'm learning as much as I could. So that two things I upholded that thought throughout the process. I think that helped me a lot. And I also this Kodkata platform was one thing that I holistically worked on throughout the process. And there were days when I tried to complete 20 to 30 questions a day. So that was like real hard work only. So not boasting, but I'm saying these things happened. And I had a target, like I wished I could want to get into number one in the Kodkata rank list, but that didn't happen. Anyways, I reached to 2-digit number. So then I didn't have the time. So almost completed like more than 500 questions in Kodkata. And the next problem that I faced was that OOPS concepts, object-oriented concepts and classes and everything. So it took a little bit of time. So along with that, GUVI was also moving forward, right? So there were other concepts that we had to learn, like MongoDB's data visualization, and then the huge part of machine learning was also there. So that coding process gradually slowed down a little bit for a while I was putting my focus on the other backgrounds. So one thing that I made sure was I try to make notes as much as possible, because like many of us, I am also having a problem of forgetting things after a while. So making notes was actually a gruesome task all the time, because it takes a lot of time. And our sessions was like 2 hours all the week. So all these 2 hours making notes actually was a hard work. But finally, during the time of interviews, referring these notes helped a lot. It gave me a very good theoretical concepts. Like in the classes of Sanathan sir, to be specific, he was teaching us from a very basic level. So sometimes we even thought that why he was teaching, going this deep, because this might not be needed. But during the time of interviews, I understood, during the time of interviews as well as during project times and etc. So these basic things actually came handy at that time. So a real thanks to all the teachers, not only Sanathan sir, but mostly Sanathan sir also, and the Kaushik sir also. So that is one thing that I have to say. And another thing is, about the assessments and assignments in GUVI. So I may try to make these, complete these assignments at time. So I know that GUVI is dealing with hundreds and hundreds of students. So if I have to get an edge over that, if GUVI has to recognize me, then I have to put myself a little bit forward. So interacting in class, one thing that I knew beforehand itself was one day we are going to have an interview session. So if I am, not showing my face, or if I'm not trying to talk, tomorrow I won't be able to interact with the invigilators, people who are taking interviews to us. So it was a little embarrassing at the initial moments, because all these jargons in computer science and everything, we are learning with students who are right now in the IT domain. So I made a lot of blunders as well, but I put my egos aside, because I don't know anybody, first of all. This is an online process, so I might not have to see these people online. So I was ready to go through that process, sidelined all my egos, and tried to be interactive as much as possible in classes. And mostly, I think during the time of Yuvraj's class, that is during data visualization and basic pandas learning time, he asked for volunteers to come forward and code in front of the entire session. So whatever he was saying. So a lot of mistakes were made, but looking back, that helped me a lot, because one of the greatest hurdle that we had to pass was to code in front of these interviewers. I never even thought at the first interview sessions, it was, I thought that they will be asking only like theories, but all on a sudden they asked us to code in front of us, to share the screen. So it was it was not a new thing for me at that time, just because Yuvraj sir asked me to do all this stuff, and I proceeded with it. And that is mostly about the learning in sessions, etc. And the teachers were also very interactive. And one thing I can say is I had a lot of questions during the time of the classes as well. So I interacted as much. I even mailed to the coordinators. And every time, one way or other, I got the reply back. So I was satisfied. And during the placement time also, Rajeshwari ma'am and even Sudha ma'am, one who's sitting at a big position, she also personally called me to when I had a little bit of doubt. So those things were all very supporting at that time. So I think this is mainly the learning process, which I have to say. If I am fast, please stop me there.
No.
Yeah, I speak fast. So
no, I guess
that is it. And
go on.
Yeah, and during the time of placements, that is what I wish to speak about more. So different rounds that we are having. Firstly, I don't know what is the stage of the students who are watching this session right now.
So you can assume that people are from who are just joined,
okay,
people who are in the mid of their program, and people who are already in the placement.
Okay, so you will be given a project, 1 or 2 projects in the end of the session. So try to do this project yourself. Try to put all your research as much as possible and put all your effort in it, because mostly every company, the companies can vary and they can ask different kinds of questions. But one thing they always persist in asking, every single company asks is, what project did you do? And explain it. So if you are well versed, if you have a great idea about each and every step that you have gone, they will be surely not looking at your outputs. What they want is, are you confident enough to explain what you did? Are you aware of all the nook and corners that you did? So that they will look, and if you genuinely did your project, you will be able to excel in that part. So they know that you know something. So that's good. And secondly, yeah, so that is after this project session, we will be having interview sessions. So initially, I think GUVI will give us different rounds of mock interviews. That has been very helpful. I mean, these mock interviews had different stages. You had to clear some test rounds, and then they show us how different stages of interviews are. And one thing I felt was, I think I attended 2 interviews. We was also trying to update from the students, asking them, knowing what was asked, what was not asked, and they were updating the next interview session. So I think because you will not get a chance to mock an interview, you will always you will have to fail an interview to learn about one interview. So if you are getting 2 or 3 sessions from the GUVI itself, utilize it as much as possible. And so placement process mainly starts with giving tests, placement tests. So mostly many companies screen the students through GUVI's test itself, I guess. So we will be having some MCQ questions that will be based on the trend right now is, I think, AWS. Mostly they are focusing mostly on AWS and basic Python coding and some machine learning concepts. So those MCQs will be mixed in that. And then the main part, that is coding. So try to be as much as, be handy in coding. So that's why I'm saying I tried my best. I tried to complete like 550 questions, and it is not because I'm something great in coding or anything, but I tried. I made it a point to excel as much as possible. So I felt confident in almost all the exams that I faced. So many exams I cracked. Some exams, I think 75% and above is required to clear one test round, coding test round. At initial stages, I got up to 73 and 72 and missed it. But later on, I cleared almost all the tests because I was confident in coding. And so that is about tests, but some companies will directly give you the test as well. So I had a company, an interview with the company in the initial stages. It was in Kochi. The company was in Kochi. So they initially asked me, gave us a Python notebook and some questions in it. So 2 hours test it was. And the questions was medium level questions, and if you are doing code kata, you will be able to crack it, because medium level toughness was there in that question, and some file handling as well as JSON questions was also there. So so this is the test level. I think if you are working hard, you will be able to crack any of these tests. And only some based on the designations, if you're looking for data engineering and data scientist levels, the questions will be a little bit complicated. But still, I find a lot of similar questions in code kata problems. So that won't be an issue. And after that, I think, after test, if you are selected in this test, some companies give you assessment to take home assignments. So you have to do it in a given duration of the time, or some companies directly call you for a direct interview as well. So I had a chance to do like 2 to 3 assessments. So one company which I got was the assessment was on they gave some data sets, and what we have to do is simply analyzing the data. No machine learning was there for that company, but they asked some tricky questions. So questions were there, and I think we have to be well versed with all this practice in pandas, and try to focus more on what question they are asking rather than deviating from it. Some data sets were pre-cleaned, so we don't have to do all those steps there. And so I got cleared in one assessment like that. But there was another company which was a data, I think the CTC was also very high, and data engineering. So in that one time, the test that I've got was completely different language. It was PySpark. So at first I was like, I cleared that round of that coding round, and so I landed here. So the time was also less, I guess, because I was learning SQL at that time. So they asked to complete it within a short period of time, and it was a completely different language. But the test assessment sheets, they gave us all these steps that is required to install this PySpark, and how to start doing, and also some YouTube channels which we can refer to do it. So, but the questions were comparatively a little bit complicated. So the thing is, GUVI provided 2 or 3 sessions for us to help us to clear that thing, but somehow the time limit was there, so I didn't feel completely confident in that. But anyhow, I completed the session. I still remember, I was awake for up to 3 o'clock in the morning to submit that test. I mean, that assessment. But I didn't clear that round, to be frank. But looking back, that too helped me a lot, because last week the company which recruited me asked me if I knew PySpark. So, anyways, I got an edge if I'm looking back. So anyway, if you are learning something, I think if you're learning simply something, that will be helpful in the long run, even if you're not seeing it in a short run. So that is it. And yeah, and another company was there that I think, yeah, it mainly dealt with the using of machine learnings. But it was also simple machine learning techniques. So if you're clearing that round, you directly land upon sorry, you directly land upon technical interviews. So here comes the main technical interview, the huge mountain that you have to crack. This technical interview itself is, it varies from different companies. So some companies, one company that I faced, completely they asked only theoretical based, machine learning based questions. So that was actually easy for me, because I was going through all the theories which I have written. But on the other hand, another company, all on a sudden, what they asked was to share the screen, start coding Python, SQL, and pandas. And that was the time when, when they asked us to code these aggregate functions in pandas, we usually do all these projects by peeping on the books which we have written. So we never expected this to be, completely, we cannot completely mug up. That was what I thought. But anyhow, they asked to do the same thing in SQL. So that that was my first interview. After that, I felt really low at that time. I consulted a lot of some of my friends who have actually got recruited, and what they said is, you will face the same issue for 2-3 interviews. And this actually happens for almost everybody. So if you are facing the same problem in future, remember that this is normal. Like 3-4 interviews, you will be shivering, even if they are asking you to type your name. If you are not super intelligent or anything, you will be surely shivering to code your name as well. So that one, so the same thing happened. Like first 2 companies, I felt a little trouble while coding, but after that, this company which took me in happened, and they interviewed me. It went very well. So I felt a little bit, I started getting a little bit confident. And after that, another company called me at the same time. So again, coding in front, sharing the screen and coding in front of them. But as I have a company in my hand right now, and this company, they are also giving a small CTC. So I don't have any issue, no self-consciousness or nothing was there. They grilled me for like 10 to 15 minutes. There were things which I didn't know, but I was completely confident. I said, I didn't know this, but I'll try some other method. So I was, completely free at that time. That was when I actually understood that it is all our mentality. We are thinking a lot of negative steps that is making us hindering our process. So I cleared that round, but they also wanted some experience in the end. HR round, they said that like some testing and experience was expected of the candidate. So I didn't get that company, but anyways, that was a very good experience. So that is about mostly what interviews will be. And even I've read, I keep on reading journals to see the experiences of the people. There are people who have gone through 40 to 44 interviews, lost like 43, 44 interviews. And then they got into some MNCs, finally good paying MNCs. So what I want to say is, if you are like losing 30, 50 interviews also, don't stop. Keep moving forward. Something is kept for you. So that is it. And finally, the HR round mostly. Please try to see if the HR round is specifically HR round or HR round plus technical round. I made a mistake most often thinking that it is only HR round without doing any preparations, but finally they were asking SQL-based questions at the same round itself. So prepare for all these things very well. That is all what I have to say regarding interviews. I think that is what I prepared. Yeah, and finally, yeah, one more thing is outside. I got this interview through GUVI. So just because that I have no experience, prior experience as in the IT field, and I'm coming from a civil engineering background, I faced a lot of issues from outside. I think I said to Amit sir this once that I applied for 100 companies. Only 3 companies called me, and when I gave the resume, nobody replied. So this thing also happens. So these are all normal things that I want the freshers to know. That's all.
Okay, that was really great, Gopika.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you more questions related to your interview process only, because most of the students are like very much either they are scared of that or they want to prepare for the interview once they complete this 3 months, 4 months course.
Okay.
So the first question that I have for you is related to your non-tech background, right? You came from civil engineer. So I believe, according to me, because again, I have a curse of knowledge. I come from a computer science background. So I never saw, programming was never an alien thing for me. It was always there with me, right? But you coming from a civil engineering background who has worked as a civil engineer for some time, once I believe the first milestone for you or first challenge for you was the coding only, right?
Right.
So how did you, or maybe you would have seen that once you go to the class, you will see some peers who are already in IT or who has some programming knowledge, and they are like quickly they are accepting the whatever the teacher, the instructor is teaching, and they are able to reply, and you are not able to understand also that what exactly is going on.
Happened.
So how did you come up overcame those challenges?
Yeah, that's why I said the 2 things I kept for sure. One is to work, focus 100%, and second is not think about anything that negative things come in your mind. Okay, right. Because I know that being a fresher and a lot of blunders will surely happen, but there is not. But because these people, these IT people, some of them were working, some of them actually. During the initial stages, I couldn't do very well. There were stupid mistakes made at that time. But going through the classes, some of these students actually tried to contact me to get the answers. So at that time, I started boosting my confidence. But until then, I just stopped thinking about all the negative stuff. That's how I moved on.
Great. So, I mean, in general, what would you suggest that, let's say, a person who doesn't know anything about coding, how much should he or she practice so that, in a very less amount of time, the person should get the enough confidence that, okay, I can now, given a problem statement, at least I can try, I can give an approach to it, right?
Yeah. First of all, what I have to say is this coding that I have faced has 2 things. One is basic coding we have to understand, and second thing is logic is also necessary, because basic mathematics, both these things comes and then only coding is in a complete form. So use Codekata as much as possible. I'm not saying that you have to completely focus only on GUVI. You can take other resources as well. To be frank, along with this, I was also looking at other, journals where they spoke and gave, and also LinkedIn. There are a lot of LinkedIn profiles which gives us notes, direct notes, right, about the basics of Python. So all these things were collected. this analysis were done, and then she completely working on this practical knowledge, because we have to get a hands-on, a muscle memory has to be made during coding.
Right.
Then only we can move forward.
Great. So regarding the interview, let's break down the interview. Okay. So let me tell you, let me just ask you that in whatever companies that you applied, how many companies did take the coding round? Like, was it the norm, or very few companies took the coding round?
I think I applied for, I had an interview experience in 4 or 5 companies, and almost I think 3 companies.
So majority of them.
Majority of them are right now asking for coding. They want skilled people. Okay. They want people, and again, it is not only skill. They want students with confidence. Right. So even if you are not getting answers, you should not stop at that place. I have seen people who start shivering and then they won't be able to. So that is not what they're looking at. Actually, they are looking at this guy knows coding, but they don't look at one thing, that if this guy only knows answer for this specific question. So that's why they are giving us answer, questions, next questions. So try to tackle that question. Once we find that we cannot do, humans have a habit of stopping there and feeling that somehow this thing should vanish and go. So that kind of thinking should stop. That's it.
Right. So one more thing that you said, that first interview is always the hardest interview, right? And we all have felt. It's not like it's because it's you who have felt this. I have also felt this. My first interview was disaster. Yeah. Okay. So everyone, it's not like, so it's a norm. You ask any great person also who is like CEO or CTO of a company, ask him or her, well, how was your first interview experience? That would definitely say either it was a disaster or it was sheer luck. Okay. Of course, you can get lucky sometimes and you can get through an interview, but mostly you will see that it will be very scary. You won't be able to even say your name. I remember that my first interview, they asked me the full form of CSS. I built a damn website. Okay, whole website I built, and I was not even able to pronounce the whole name of CSS. What is the full form of it? And they were laughing, and I just wanted them to like just finish this interview. I just want to go out of this room.
I felt that.
Right. So sometimes it becomes a blockage, right? Once you go through such mental, you see it as a mental harassment, right? Because first interview, it breaks down you completely.
Oh God, yes.
Right? Because you feel like, okay, I cannot go through this again. It's not possible. It's impossible for me. Do give me whatever job you can give. Just don't get me through this interview process. But you have to give, because there is no other choice. No one can land you a job without going through this hell-related process, right? So how did you overcome this fear that, okay, I have to do whatever happens, I have to do this? What made you go?
The thing is, as I've said, we might know all what is necessary, but we need time to process, and sometimes we have to peak at the notes. That is the thing. So what can we do? There is nothing else other than to make what I said, muscle memory. Make this, do coding. So the thing is, if I start working a project on Python, if I did a project, then for 1 or 2 days, if you ask me to do this thing, that aggregation stuff, every other things will be there in my memory. But after 2-3 days, that vanishes. And if I'm learning SQL, the same thing. I can code in front of them, but it vanishes. So what I am telling is revise it as much as possible. That is why I'm saying, like, if it is Python, we have to keep on coding. If you are preparing for an interview, you should start keeping on coding for like at least 5 to 6 questions a day in code kata will be necessary. And the same thing deals with pandas mainly aggregation function, because all the other steps we will be normally seeing, but only when we are doing projects we will be using these complicated steps. Similarly in the case of SQL also. So go through 1 or 2 interviews and do fail, so you understand what you don't have in your hands, and then start working on it. Keep on working on it. There is no other way. Practice it. That's all.
Okay. So my next question is a little bit technical, but so you said that GUVI gives you some projects and you have to do those projects, right? As you know, that sometimes projects becomes very ordinary kind of thing, because like almost everyone is getting a similar kind of projects, right? So you say that you want your CV to stand out. You want yourself to be seen throughout the course and by the people, so that it will help you boost your performance also, plus your probability of getting selected in a company, right? So what extra did you do in that project? What like in a very on a very surface level, what was the thought process, that what extra you had to put in this in these projects, so that my CV will stand out?
Yeah. First of all, using all the steps that you have learned. For example, if it is a machine learning project, there will be straightforward questions there might be, but we can also use every single out if we are looking for outliers. There could be outliers. There could be necessity for taking out outliers. There could not be, but the question might be straightforward to do something, a simple machine learning analysis, but implementing these things will improve our percentage in the output. Similarly, implementing all the things that we have learned in case of data visualization, showing them, and our human brain will accept things which are shown visually very well. So use these tools which we have learned, which we have in our hands, to make it more. I even thought of deploying the machine learnings, but I seriously don't have the entire tools with me. I was thinking about it, but I didn't get time. Otherwise, I would have even deployed things and shown it in LinkedIn to get stand out from others, but I didn't get time. So that these type of process could be used.
Okay. So one more thing, sir. You said that sometimes during the start, you were focusing on more on the fundamentals, maybe on the theoretical part of the machine learning or data science, and then you started working on the implementation part also. So at this era, you are already working in a company, and you see what kind of products they are building and whatever the features they are using of AI. What do you think, which part a person should focus on, or there should be a perfect balance that should be created between the theory and implementation?
Okay. Frankly, I'm right now in my training period. So I didn't get into the core of what the company is expecting from us. But during the interview process itself, my interviewer has said that right now, even if you have landed in a job, data engineering job, you should not expect first at the beginning itself, you should not expect dealing with all the huge steps. You should start with doing even maybe cleaning process, maybe simple analytical process will be there. So these are basics. These are what we have learned, and these things we might have to repeat for some time to get there. So
Okay.
I think that GUVI has made us substantially solid in those.
Okay. Great. One question, very very simple question, which everyone asks. So what's the difference between data science and data engineer? So if you what is data scientist that what is that data scientist do, and what you do, what you will be doing?
Mostly, I think our process deals with a lot of data, collection of data and processing it related to data centers for a data engineer. So the first thing that our company insisted on learning is AWS. Having a thorough understanding in AWS. Many other companies, I think people are asked to learn Azure. So I think this is mostly, it is not we are not going into machine learning. Data scientist means, I think it is a bit more research level. We are dealing with, taking data, processing it, cleaning it. That is what I expect doing there. I'm also just like you, just landed. So kindly ask the kind of questions.
Yeah. Okay. Great. That's great. So okay. So people. We have, for example, multiple tasks also in GUVI, right? You must be. So during the start module 1, after module 3, I guess we get some task, and after NumPy or something, we get some statistical tasks. So how do you rate these tasks? Not projects. I'm talking about the tasks. How do you rate this? Are these enough, or you should do something on top of these also?
No, actually, these tasks were actually very useful, because to clear these tasks, I also researched from outside, and GUVI was giving a set of things, and we are also moving very fast forward. So completing a task, making it in a perfection way, that submitting it in a perfected way takes time, and whatever GUVI gave, I think is up to the point. I personally didn't feel anything like anything has to be implemented in it.
Okay.
Extra.
So one question related to again the interview process. So you went through few interview process in some companies. They might have given you some tasks, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So which task was most challenging for you? Like, okay, you don't, one thing you said PySpark, I remember that. So apart from that, which task was like challenging in a sense, you know it, but it feels like question was in the way it was presented to you, it was in such a way that it was kind looked like to you that it is not achievable. Or I won't be able to achieve very good, let's say it's a machine learning task, I won't be able to achieve very good accuracy or something like that. Or you faced like you were stuck somewhere.
Yeah, I think the same this assessment that I've said before. That company, even the questions were a little bit complicated because that consisted of 2-3 data sets. So
Okay.
we had to merge. This is a huge data set. I think a lot. There was a large number of rows. It took great deal of time to load itself, and then we have to compare these data. So these things initially we were all new to these things, to compare these data based on columns, and then we had to get answers from it. So during the time, so we, as I've said, this limited time, otherwise I was quite confident if I got some time we could find some ideas, because we are in a room for that, right? Through this process we want to research and get to an answer. But that is one problem that I faced, that is this huge data and the concepts, question concept itself was not a little bit clear at that time. So that was one problem, because other questions, I think mostly assessments, companies usually give simple tasks only, doable tasks only, because
Okay.
from that task they keep on asking and adding questions. But I think normally assessments are easy as far as I've seen it.
Okay. Okay. So again, getting back to that, because many people will definitely ask this question. Anyways, we'll get to the Q&A round. But people will ask that you once you shifted from civil engineer to this data science domain and penetrating the company, what is the major blockage that you faced? Like your resume is not shortlisted, something like that, or was there something else that you were feeling that okay, I'm not able to enter this domain? What was the major bottleneck for you?
That, as I've said, being a fresher itself, as I've said, that we have applied for like 100 companies. The
Right.
moment they see that we are a fresher and along with that you are a civil engineer, then gone. Everything is good. So one thing that I made sure was I was determined anyways, one way or other, through GUVI, I will try my best. One thing in this process that I made a lot of connections through LinkedIn, and
Okay.
mostly it was people at great big positions. We spoke about things, and one experience that I had was a company was there. So one of my contact has landed in a job. I think she was a fresher. So I marked that company and I directly applied through mail, asking that I am so and so person from this background, but I am trying my level best to work, do my best in this field. So please give me a chance to show how well I have prepared. And I didn't expect anything, but I was actually, it was after my first interview, which was a painful memory. So after that, simply I just started giving wherever I see. I asked a lot of people directly. I asked through this way also. So one company actually replied to me, and that was actually a wonder for me. And what they said was, provide your resume, and I provided it. And then they gave me an assessment that was on a small machine learning task, but I was able to clear it. And but during this process only I got selected in another company.
Okay.
So at that time this was a warm welcome, but I was not expecting to get in that company anyways. So but still they called me for an interview. So I said, my present condition is so and so, but I would like to know little stuff about what you are expecting from students who are now pursuing, because for persons like me, we are only having knowledge that the company that we are learning from gives us. We don't have any other ideas. So yeah, I also made some points in that, like they were now I think it is a trend that they started focusing more on deep learning as well, not just machine learning. So I think after machine learning, it is easy to start moving forward in deep learning. And one more thing is, any student who is having great skill in Tableau or Power BI, mostly Tableau, that is what they are asking. will have an edge over other students, because almost every strong companies, they are looking, even our company also, I try to ask for referrals, and what they are saying is, do that candidate know Tableau well? Are they well experienced in Tableau? So make it a point to learn Tableau. It's up to you, because GUVI cannot, as I know, GUVI cannot provide every single skill. Machine learning and all the other stuff itself is a tough hurdle to go. And
although we have Tableau as a
you
course.
have Tableau, right? Yeah, during our
That is free.
okay,
Yes, you can
yeah,
take the tab.
yeah, I didn't say that.
I guess Tableau or Power BI, one of these we have. So
Yeah,
if you learn one of these, then other becomes very easy.
yeah, and again, extra projects. The more projects that we are doing, the more they know that we are skilled more. So they are asking for more projects, and AWS, and also a little bit of advanced Excel knowledge. I've seen some of my friends being asked about that pivot table. We look up questions like that, and they are also in some like Naukri and everything. The first thing, some of the data analyst jobs, they are asking for Excel efficiencies. So these things are what that serve that we had a warm talk. So he said that they are also not looking for candidate, but since I have directly asked them, they wanted to know, and since I have taken an effort to complete their assessment, so they wanted to talk. So I said I am also in the same. So we spoke about these things, and this is what they said.
So after this session, you will be getting many LinkedIn connection.
Yeah, sure. No problem. I'm ready to help. I know what stress and hurdles that I have gone through. I'm ready to help. And if you are ready to work hard, surely one way or other, with the help of your work, with the help of GUVI, as well as with Almighty and everybody's help, you will land somewhere. But you have to
Great.
focus. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so what we'll do, Gopika, now is that we have around 11 to 12 minutes. So I'll take some questions that people have raised. People, if you have any questions, just raise on Q&A chat we have. And then I'll read out few of the selective questions, and then let's see what are the questions we have. Okay, so the first question that we have is from Vikas Mitra. How much data structures and algorithm did you study apart from what was taught in the class? Do you have we also have third module, which is algorithmic thinking.
Yeah.
So apart from that, did you study anything related to data structures and algorithm to crack such coding interviews?
Yes, because starting at the beginning, the exams were easy. But moving on, when we were trying to crack this data engineering and data scientist levels, a lot of high level questions started coming in between. So at that time, I didn't have any idea, because I was good in that list strings and all that kind of stuff. But I knew that some of the concepts like class, that the tree structure, even linked list were necessary. So slowly, because we cannot cover all these things all on a sudden, we already have a lot of other steps to learn along with this. So I made it a point, like weekly, this part I will cover. I will note it down, because surely I'll forget. I always forget most of the things that I learned. So I always write it down, revise it, and implement it, practice it as much as possible. I did it.
Okay, great. So one question which we have already answered, Yogesh is asking, ma'am, since you are from civil engineering background, how did you overcome the fear of coding? So I guess we had a detailed discussion on this.
Yeah. So in the beginning itself, when we are landing on data science, we know nothing other than, we were asked to learn nothing other than coding. So yeah, I had a lot of, that entire time, I still remember I was committed to complete this. So there was no fear actually for coding for me.
Awesome.
Somehow that came with me.
Cool. Okay, this is interesting. So Sundarajan is asking how to solve code kata problems. What is the strategy to complete more problems? So what strategy did you take?
Firstly, start with basic level coding. And if you are finding, we have a forum where I think you will also be aware of that, where we can ask questions and you will get answers. And sometimes we might not get answers, because people are also working for this forum. Part-time people are giving answers. Even I was giving answers in forums. So at that time, what you have to do is, for the time being, just keep that question over there. try to tackle other questions. So if you move a long way, if you're coming back again for the questions that you haven't tackled, I think at that time, most of that happened to me because some questions I was not able to clear. But after moving forward and looking back, some of the questions that I left was actually easy. So sometimes that wire don't click at that time, but later it will. And keep asking other people also. That's it.
Okay. Okay, Ashwini is asking, ma'am, what kind of coding they asked us to do while asking them to share a screen, right? Medium or hard level? So I don't know how to answer this.
I can say that it is medium level only. What makes it hard is our thought that this thing I could not do, this thing I won't be able to do. That kind of thinking will come at the first time. So mostly be prepared for aggregate, the things in pandas or advanced pandas, whatever you are doing for projects, and SQL also. Basic, like all the SQL theories that we know, try to start doing some projects. That will be the best thing to get well versed with it. Again, these things are only necessary. Medium level questions will be only asked. No high level will be asked. It is your duty to make it clear. Get the muscle.
Okay.
That's it.
Great. Great. Okay, so I have one detailed question. Megha is asking, you mentioned about note making. Did you follow any structure for note making, that is Python, SQL, Maths, TSA, others, so that you didn't confuse at the end that what is what? Okay.
Yeah, sure. I segregated the notes. I actually, if I can show you.
Sure, sir, sure.
No, actually, this note is actually having partitions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So so things
By
like
the
that,
partition note.
yeah,
Okay.
partition
The notebook only had partition.
Yeah.
Okay. Mega, I guess that will help. Okay.
That will only work because otherwise everything will be mixed up and finally
Mixed up.
Yeah.
Right. Second question is, while you are coding in Codekata, was your aim is to get an answer or write efficient code after writing? So after you have like crossed 150 to 200 problems, then after that, what was your idea to solve a problem? Was it like writing an efficient code, or is it like just I should be able to solve this problem?
Efficiency is necessary because at the end of the day, what we have to be is we have to be somewhat better than what we were from yesterday. That is necessary. But along with that, my main motivation was that at the first few sessions, we are having only coding. So we'll always see and listen coding only. But later on, when we are moving towards other steps, at this time, there's a chance that we will forget it. So to remember it again and again, that is what I felt necessary. And then later, when the sessions were over, I started focusing on advanced level coding also.
Okay. And the last question is from Megha is, when did you learn AWS and PySpark? During the course or at the end? Like, when did you think that I should learn these things also? So AWS, I'll tell you, she just completed her AWS certificate and the company arranged that, right?
Yes, yes.
And when we were calling her, she was telling us that news that she passed the exam. So recently she did. PySpark, when did you learn about the PySpark?
Yeah, PySpark, when the necessity came, when necessity not, they asked us. So it was very hard to clear the test round itself. So we cannot just leave the assessment that they gave. It was very hard. So anyway, I tried my best and somehow did complete. So assessments came when you're getting the assignment, you have to do it. So that's only when I learned PySpark. And AWS in the beginning also, when we were going through that exams provided by GUVIs, tests provided by GUVIs, we are having MCQ questions for AWS, right? So I think it will be better if you are going through YouTube channels to know what basic AWS is. It is actually comparatively easier, like IntelliPath and some other. I think even GUVI has also started to provide sessions on AWS, I guess. Yeah, so these YouTube channels.
So we have AWS session from AWS people, Amazon people.
Yeah, yeah.
So on monthly basis, twice we do that. Learners don't join. So now, okay. So pointed to all the learners who are not joining the AWS session, we are having monthly twice we are having this AWS session taken by Amazon people only. So please take it. Okay, very, very interesting question I have is, Ma'am, what is your daily routine?
Actually, to be frank, I never learned like this, never in my life. Last 1 year was actually, I was determined to get. So I think I remember I started this journey. I started thinking about data science last November, last year, November. So almost 1 year is over completely. And that 1 year hardship actually paid off. So daily routine means whatever, I will note down what are the things which is necessary for us, because there are a lot of tools that are necessary and we will know about it only during the process. So just keep a note on whatever we have to learn. You might not be having time at that current duration, but later there will be some time when you won't get any interview calls, or when you will be stuck. At that time, utilize that time to learn this, whatever you have noted down. So during this process, when you are learning, that time will pass and you might get a interview call.
Right. Okay, she's stuck. Okay, okay. I thought you were stuck.
No.
Okay, so one more question. Ma'am, did you get this job on your own or via LinkedIn or using a referral, or was it provided by GUVI placement support?
Exclusively by GUVI only, completely by GUVI only.
Okay.
Yeah, I had I always contact, and I had every time I have a lot of doubts, so I contact the placement team. So I had a great relationship with them, and every time I update whatever is happening throughout. So they
So
were,
hats off to Rajeshwari, right?
yeah, Rajeshwari ma'am actually helped a lot. I don't know if
Right.
she's there right now. She said
Okay.
she won't be attending the session. So
Okay.
yes,
Kudos to Rajeshwari if you are listening.
yeah.
Okay. Uh, okay, let me. Okay, so this is also interesting. Uh, how did you manage with your revisions? I am from mechanical background. When I was starting learning pandas, my confidence in SQL is less, and vice versa. Okay, so I mean, mostly the person is asking about Bala Kumaran, that how did you revise? So sometimes you go and then you forget everything. It happens, right? It happens
Happened.
with
It actually
everyone. So
happened for me. Mostly, I was good at MongoDB during the time of the session, and after moving forward, I forgot everything. So this happens. It's normal. So that's why I said there is the necessity to make down notes. So for me, if I see the notes that I created,
right,
some kind of memory comes flashing. So
right.
that's why I keep on making notes. There is no other way. Go back, keep on learning. That is a tiring task sometimes, but you want a job anyways. So there is no other way.
Yeah, so during my class also, sometimes whenever I take class, I always tell that create a mental note also. So
Mm.
mental note with the physical note will help you recollect whatever you have learned,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
definitely it will help you once you go after like say 2 weeks, 3 weeks and try to revise it.
right.
Okay. Uh, Again, okay, most of the questions are mostly we have covered. Let me ask her right now last question because we are already at the edge. Okay, this is interesting. So I'll ask, how many hours have you studied per day? I don't know how to answer this.
I too don't know how to answer this. It varies. It varies because it depends upon our mood. But one thing I can say is data science itself is a very interesting subject because it has research, it has maths, it has visualization. We can be creative enough. So it is kind of touching all the realms that I like. So I
Right,
was able to move forward with interest. That is, if you are interested in it, you will be able to go forward. So somehow create an interest. And for me, what helped is I started learning about successful stories in this field. So that will be a good inspiration. So make it a point to read, because keeping on learning without knowing what is happening in outside world, you might lose hope and interest. So that thing helped. Read, try to be creative, more creative. It will help you to move forward. Yes.
okay, great. So again, so I had a very nice session with you. And to all our learners, the idea behind this session was to just motivate you and make you understand that uh, uh, you will feel hurdle. That doesn't matter which background you are coming from. She's from civil engineering, literally civil engineering, right? So the idea is that, again, even if you are coming from humanities or whatever background, you can still enter and penetrate the data science background or data engineer background. I mean, you can get into the AI field, become a data scientist or whatever you want to become, and do good there. The only thing that you should be very passionate about it. You should have this, that to do skill, that whatever happens, I will learn, I will go through it, and whatever happens, I will land a job, and you will land a job. So once I remember that it was a month before that I interviewed you, right?
Yeah.
And I remember she was asking that I don't know whether I will land a job or not. And I said that I'm pretty confident that you will definitely get it. It's impossible that you
See,
won't get a job.
until you get a job, you will always think
You
like
will always say
hopeless
exactly.
feeling will be
You
there.
will always
The
say
moment you get a job, things will change. So
right. And but we knew, we at the back end, we had very high confidence that it's just a matter of time that she is going to get the job, and she did. In few weeks only, she landed a job. And yeah, so you all can go. So the idea is to make yourself aware of your surroundings, make good connections, try to learn from all the resources that you have, learn everything from GUVI. But always, it's not good, it's not a bad idea to go beyond GUVI also. Go look for resources out, read blogs, it will motivate you, right? Okay, one more thing, this we also had a blogathon kind of thing where we asked people to write blogs about few technologies.
I
Right.
heard about that. I was not able to go through it. I was
So for the Christmas
very
present, so in this live session, I'm telling, for the Christmas present, we'll be announcing winner in the midnight only. So stay tuned, people who have already wrote blogs. Yeah. So idea is that, again, that be motivated, read blogs, read how people are doing in this domain, and you all will be able to land a job, and you can become an entrepreneur. Who knows, right? So maybe you can start a company and you can get into that company. So be motivated, keep your bar very high, and then you all will be able to do very good. So thank you, Gopika, for
Thank
this
you, sir. Thank
lovely
you.
session, and see you.
Yeah,
See
thank you
you
all
guys.
my friends.
Yeah, thank you. And people are asking for your LinkedIn profile, but I'll not give you. I'll also tell you not to give, because if you really are data scientist, you should find her LinkedIn profile somehow. Bye bye.
Okay, good
See
night,
you.
everybody. Thank
Good
you
night.
so much. Thank you so much for bearing me. Okay.
It was nice. Bye, Gopika. Bye.